In an industry stuffed with marketing bullshit, empty promises, and Chinese-suited liars, one woman's had enough. She knows what it's like to have the wrong clients, no money, and no time for fun. But she also knows how to fix it. And on the Business for Superheroes show, she promises to tell the down and dirty truth about business, sales, and running away with the circus. Here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
Hello and welcome to the Business for Superheroes show. My name is Vicky Fraser and this is my husband Joe.
Hello. That was take two.
The first one was worse.
It was very bad indeed. And then I went on a massive ranty safari.
You just spiraled straight into rant. It didn't take long.
Oh man, it was quite ranty. Anyway, we're on episode 177, which is boggling.
I can't believe we're still here after 177 episodes. I can't believe anybody's still listening after 177 episodes.
Well, we're gonna have a bit of an announcement to make in a couple of episodes when we get back from our holiday. Things are going to change. So
okay.
Yeah. So stay tuned and you'll find out probably on episode 180.
Do you think?
I don't know. I never know.
Might be.
Maybe. So what are we drinking today, Joe?
We are drinking Sipsmith Gin and Angostura Bitters Tonic from Fever Tree. The reason we're drinking Sipsmith is because we're going to keep drinking Sipsmith until we have one fewer bottles of gin in the cupboard, because the cupboard can take no more. So we need to finish some bottles.
Fair enough. I like it because it's pink.
It is pink.
Cheers.
It's lovely.
Oh, that's a good noise. I like that. So yeah, this week we are... You know what? No, we're gonna talk about what we did at the weekend, because we're pretty damn proud of it, aren't we? As you may know, if you listen to this podcast regularly and read my emails, we are the accidental keepers of three tiny sheep.
Three very tiny sheep.
Three tiny sheep. Bronson, Koenig and Picard. Mm-hmm. They are... Well, Bronson is a Jassant, Jacob Cross Wissant, and Koenig and Picard are purebred Wissant, which are, they're primitive breeds, they're teeny tiny, they're miniature sheep.
Yes.
They're totally awesome. And one of the things that we didn't really, and I say we, I mean I, because,
It was never in my plan to, find sheep in the back garden. But it was in yours, let's face it.
But you love them, right?
Yeah, they're cool. Yeah. They're cool.
So, but one of the things I didn't really put too much thought into was the whole, we're going to need to, shave them at some point, because wool.
Technically, it's called shearing.
Whatever. And I kind of just, it was one of those problems that I sort of thought if I ignore it, somebody else will solve it for me. And of course, that didn't happen. And so we had a couple of options. It was, either wait until the local farmers were doing all of their shearing and ask if we can join in.
Yeah, beg a favour and throw some sheep into the flock.
Yeah, and I think we might have missed that boat because they all look quite shorn. And also we didn't ask anybody.
Yeah.
We could have got somebody to come and do it, because there are people that go around and do small, pet sheep and small flocks and all the rest of it. But it turns out you have to book them about 3 years in advance.
Right.
Which clearly we did not do. And also it costs, I think if you bung them 50 quid, they'll come and do it depending on where they are, which isn't in the grand scheme of things a lot of money. But then, of course, we sat down and thought, I could get a pair of shears for 20 quid. Let's have a go.
How hard can it be? People have been doing this for thousands of years, right? They've been shearing sheep.
Yeah. So we watched some YouTube videos.
YouTube videos make it look really simple.
YouTube videos make it look very easy. And we were trying to ignore the ones with the electric clippers because we don't have electric clippers. Mm-hmm. And so we were looking at the traditional hand shear, snip, snip, snip sheep shearers. And yeah, they do it really quickly. They do it smoothly. They are, the sheeps are tidy afterwards and smooth, and it's just bullshit. It's all total bullshit. That's what? That's not what happens when you tip a sheep on its butt and then try and shave it. To be fair, Bronson and Koenig were very patient. It took about 40 minutes per sheep for us to do it. We're not going to win any prizes. I thought Picard was going to be trouble from the outset, and
he was.
He was, because he doesn't
suffer fools gladly.
He's fighty.
He is.
And we are fools. But I am very happy to report that they are all shorn.
Mostly.
Bronson's bouclé, I think is what you might call him. He's bouclé. Koenig is a little bit tufty. Picard has a big dangly bit under his belly, which he absolutely refused to let us get near. And none of them have got any injuries, which I call the whole thing a win.
It was not easy, though.
It's not easy. It's hard work.
But We're now
Yeah.
people who have sheared sheep. So that's good.
And we did it, and we're going to do it next year, and maybe we'll be a bit better next year. But it was quite cool because Joe started off, because you did the sheep wrangling, didn't you? Because you're stronger
I
than
did
me.
the sheep wrangling.
And he started them off and then did some snipping, and then it got awkward. So Joe then did the holding, and I did the sheep shearing.
Yeah.
And I feel like I did a very good job of the shearing, and you did a very good job of the wrangling. And I think maybe I would have found it easier with Picard because he's dinky and you're quite tall, and I think that was what you found difficult.
Yeah, they are miniature sheep, so some of the holding positions you see on the YouTube don't
Difficult.
quite work because the sheep are so small.
On the YouTube. How old are you? Joe has just turned 73. So yeah, that's what we did, and I feel like that leads nicely into the Great Wall of Pain, because it would have been really it was really tempting to abandon the whole idea 2/3 of the way through sheep number 2. Because it was hard work.
Was greasy work as well.
Yeah, really greasy. Really, really, really very greasy. So yeah, we're talking this week. We're talking about the Great Wall of Pain.
The point at which you think, "Screw this, I'm done."
Yeah, or not even that. The point at which your body and your mind both go, "I can't. I just can't do it anymore." And if you have ever run a half marathon or a marathon, or done like a triathlon or anything like that, you will know exactly what I'm talking about, because there comes a point in your race or your an endeavour where your legs feel like they are made of sacks of spuds, and it feels like somebody's sitting on your chest, and your brain just is like
does not want to anymore.
Yeah, and it's like you start not hallucinating, but sparkles around the edge of you, all of that kind of thing, and you think I'm not going to make it. I just can't. That's the wall, and athletes talk about the wall all the time. And it's like, what do you do? Because it's what do you do? And the same thing happens. The same thing will happen if you are writing a book or you're planning to write a book. The same thing will happen to you. It will be about 2/3 of the way through, I predict. That's where it happens for me. You'll probably have done your first draft, and you might be partway through your editing, and you'll just be like, "No, can't do anymore. Just nope, done." And you'll just not want to do it.
Yeah.
And it's really awful.
You go from wanting to do something to just not wanting to anymore.
Yeah, to really not wanting to just being like, I can't.
I think it's lots of things though, isn't it? I think any long drawn out task is quite exciting in the preparation stage, and it's quite exciting in the early stages, and it feels great when you're making loads of progress because you're smashing at your house with a big lump hammer or whatever it is you're doing. It's when you get to the like you say, 2/3, 3/4 of the way through, and you're just like, and you haven't seen it kind of come together yet.
And you feel like, it might be like you'll think, oh, I have done a lot, but oh my God, there's another hill.
Yeah.
And it's that last hill, and it's like, do you remember when we did that night walk? It was 26-mile walk.
Yes.
And this was cruel and unusual punishment, but the last couple of miles was up. It was a really steep hill, wasn't it?
Up a really steep hill, yeah.
Up a really steep hill, and I just remember. I remember walking along and sobbing. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I was just like, I just can't do it. I can't do it. And just to think, well, you've come 22 miles or whatever.
You're going to do it.
You're going to do it, but that last 4 miles just feels totally unreachable. And so that's kind of what you're talking about. And it happens with running, it happens with trapeze. I got 2/3 of the way to my competition. The last competition I did, I was just like, I just don't want to do it. And I just remember sitting on the floor and crying, and just like, I just can't. I can't make anything look good. I was looking at what I was doing on the video, and I was just like, it's going to be shit. I'm just shit. And it happens with renovating a house.
Yeah.
We've had a few occasions where we're just like, can we not just sell it and buy somewhere that's done?
Buy somewhere with central heating.
Yeah, and so, this will happen to you, whether you're writing a book or whether you're doing any big project with your
Developing a business.
Yeah.
Trying to earn a living, whatever it is.
With the business itself as well, I have had moments where I said to you, I've been like, I could just go and get a job at the co-op.
Yeah.
I could do that. I could earn, not a lot of money, but enough money to pay the bills, and every single time you've been like, you'd last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I would. But it happens. And so I just wanted, this podcast is really all about saying, when that happens to you, please don't abandon ship, because you'll want to, and it'll seem like the easier thing to do. And if you do abandon ship, you will regret it for the rest of your life, I think.
Yeah.
because nothing worth having comes easily, I don't think.
I think just knowing that sooner or later this wall will, appear on your horizon and rapidly come up and smack you in the face.
Yes.
I think just knowing that it exists, knowing that it's going to happen, and knowing that people get past it is quite a useful thing.
It really is.
Because you can have the self-awareness to understand that, oh, right, here comes the wall.
Yeah, because...
And know about it.
It'll still kind of take you by surprise, but it won't knock you for six. And so I'm going to tell you to do a couple of things. First thing is buy and read The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, which is all about resistance, which is basically what the Great Wall of Pain is. It's just resistance kind of fighting you. And it's a really great book. It's fantastic. And he is a specialist in kind of fighting resistance because he is a writer, and this is what we do. We basically spend most of our time battling resistance. And also read Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport, who is also author of Deep Work, which you may have heard of. I say read Digital Minimalism because one of the symptoms of, or one of the things that you tend to do when you hit the Great Wall of Pain is reach for whatever distraction is nearest. And for most people these days, that tends to be Facebook or Instagram or the news
Twitter
sites or Quora, whatever it is that you're addicted to. Because it is an addiction, people. Was that your stomach?
It was.
Get and read The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield and read Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport, and learn to recognise the signs and put coping mechanisms in place for when the Great Wall of Pain rears up in front of you.
Have you got some coping mechanisms?
I do. So, first, these are things I've said before, but I'm going to say them again because I don't think people listen.
Okay.
My mobile phone lives in another room on silent and on Do Not Disturb mode. I just have Do Not Disturb on my iPhone 24/7. The only people who can get through via phone are like you and my mum and dad and a couple of other people, and you guys all know only to call me out, before 5 p.m. if it's an emergency, because otherwise I'm just going to be pissed off with you. You can set rules like that. If my mobile phone is in the same room as me, even if it's not doing anything, even if it's face down, it just pulls my attention. And they've done research on this. They've researched that people are less productive and less focused if their mobile phone is in the same room as them. It's fascinating. It doesn't have to be doing anything. It can be face down and silent and off.
But people still spend focus on it, attention.
And that research itself I find a little bit horrifying. Read Digital Minimalism. Anyway. Put an app on your phone. So I've got the Moment app on my phone, which tells me how many times I pick it up during a day. I've also taken social media apps off my phone. I can only now log into Facebook when I'm on my laptop, and I don't miss it.
Okay.
Interestingly. So it's intentional use. I've got the Freedom app on my laptop, so I can't access social media during my working hours, between particular hours. Nothing is so urgent that you need to get on Facebook right now. So...
That must be tough there's quite a lot of people who sort of, their businesses rely upon Facebook and things like that.
Well, if they're social media managers, that's one thing. But if they're basing all of their marketing on Facebook, then their business is fucked anyway.
Fair enough.
Frankly. And the reason I say that, there's going to be people going, no, it's not, that's bullshit. If your entire marketing strategy is built on Facebook and Facebook suddenly decides to shit can your account, what do you think is going to happen to your income? I've seen it happen to people. I've seen entire businesses collapse because they have no other means of getting in touch with their customers. So I'll just leave that thought to fester. If you rely on social media to do all of your marketing, you should be getting people onto your email list. What else do I do? Freedom app. I've just said that. You have? Yeah. Stops you surfing, blocks, websites. It does. It's very cool. But these are kind of, if the wall exists and comes and smacks you in your face, yes, the first thing that you go and do is go and find a distraction. Mm-hmm. But removing the distractions isn't a preventative for the wall hitting you in the face. Well, you can't stop the wall hitting you in the face. It's going to do it. I'm just giving people some kind of coping mechanism. So another coping mechanism I have is I do all of my planning the evening before. So, and this does help to mitigate the effects of the wall, because if you know exactly what you're going to be working on the next day as soon as you sit down at your desk, that's really helpful, because I found that one of the most unpleasant things is if I forget to plan my day in advance or I can't be bothered, the next morning for me is a total shit show. It's horrible. I feel weird. I feel like I don't know what's going on. I feel like I just feel disconnected from everything. Directionless, yeah. Whereas if I know exactly what I'm going to be doing at 8 o'clock the next morning, and then at 9 o'clock, and then at 10 o'clock, that really helps, because it's like, okay, so I've only got to do this for an hour. It's like if I can sense that because you do learn to recognise the signs that you're kind of not losing interest, but losing the will to live. Then you can say, okay, well, I'm just going to plan in half an hour. The first half hour of my day is going to be just look at this chapter.
Do that thing.
I can do that for half an hour. I can do that, And you'll often find that then you get into it and you can do a bit more. So plan your days the evening before, so that you don't spend half an hour faffing around. I do this with everything. So when I first get up in the morning, I don't get dressed into normal clothes. I get straight into my running gear and I go straight out the door. I don't kind of faff around. I think I'll go for a run, after I've had breakfast and whatever. It's just not going to happen. So I go for my little run first thing, and then I come back. And by the time I come back, I'm awake and all the rest of it. I know exactly what I'm going to do next. I have a little routine. It's a really specific routine. And if I mess it up, I just feel weird. I feel like the day's going to go wrong.
Okay.
So that's really, really, really helpful. I also make sure that my desk and my tools are all set up and waiting for me. So if I know that I'm going to be resistant to doing whatever it is that I need to do, say edit chapter 10, then I'm going to make sure that when I come back from my run, chapter 10 is open.
Right.
On my computer. I don't have to boot it up and then go and find it within all the files so that I can get distracted with something else. All I need to do is wake my computer up and there it is.
Okay.
I have no excuse to kind of not do it then. That's really helpful as well. I have all of my research. If I'm in the research stage, I have all of the research that I need. Offline, I can turn the internet off then.
Okay.
And then pay attention to yourself as well. This is another thing when you hit the Great Wall, and Joe's giving me the side eye right now because he knows how I eat sometimes. So take good care of yourself physically and mentally. There's many reasons why I go for a run first thing in the morning, and it's not just because I want good calves and a tight butt. It's because partly for the fresh air, partly to wake me up, and partly because it's a solitude thing. I can just go and think. I don't even have to run. I'm just basically want to get myself out of the house.
Sure.
And so all of that preparation, for me, that's I can't sit and meditate. I can't do it. I've tried. But for me, that morning run on my own without any technology or anything and just kind of communing with the sheeps or whatever, that's a form of meditation for me. I think so. That's really important. Take good care of yourself physically. No living on what?
Chocolate bars, pretzels.
Okay, so
frozen sausages.
I don't eat frozen sausages. I cook them first, and they're veggie sausages. So when I was in Lanzarote writing the first draft of my book, there may have been, and I was not responsible for this, I'm blaming Kenda for it.
Hi, Kenda.
Hi, Kenda. She came back from the shop with €3 fizzy blue wine.
Sounds great.
It was absolutely vile, but it looked amazing. And so that powered some of my book. I will recommend fruit and vegetables. The sordid truth about my life is that at least one chapter of this book was, in fact, powered by €3 blue fizzy wine and Oreo cookies and a great big bag of pretzels. Not good.
Not good.
Your brain does not function well on that kind of crap.
Better on exercise, vegetables, water.
Yeah.
Good food.
So here's the thing that you can do. Plan your meals in advance. What do you know is good brain food for you? And whatever you know, make your lunch in advance, or at least make it easy for yourself to make lunch. So I have a bagel for breakfast. And then I spent last week eating really healthily and having salads and being really hungry. So this week I've kind of made up for that by eating quite a lot of crap. I think I go week by week. What else can scup you? Okay, so another symptom of the Great Wall of Pain is brain tornadoes.
Brain tornadoes.
Yes, and that phrase was coined by Susie Hoare, who is a great copywriter, and she's really cool, and I want to get her on the podcast at some point.
Okay.
But I remember her writing that in an article she wrote, and I was like, that's a great description of what happens in your brain when you are experiencing the Great Wall of Pain. So, for example, Kenda's 3-hour paragraph is probably my favourite example. When we were in Lanzarote, I remember her sitting there with her head in her hands, wailing, I've been at it for 3 hours and I've written one fucking paragraph. I cannot do this. That is the Great Wall of Pain in action.
Right.
And it's kind of the perfect example of a brain tornado mixing with imposter syndrome and kind of smashing you into the Great Wall of Pain. Because you're thinking, I'm not good enough to do this, and I've got too many thoughts in my head. And so, and how it manifests itself for me is, I think this section might be better in the introduction. But then if it goes in the introduction will be too long. And actually, you know what? I think it might fit better in chapter 13. And then, no, it doesn't go so well there. It could go at the end. And this is actual thoughts that go in my head, but like all at once. And then they just get faster and faster. And then you're drinking €3 blue fizzy wine, and then you're crying.
Nothing happens when you cry.
Yes. And so then you feel like you're going mad, and then what happens next is that you throw your manuscript into a drawer and you go to the pub. So what do you do next?
Drink too much.
No, you don't.
No.
You do not abandon your book.
Okay.
Because this is the point at which you'll be like, I'm done.
Well, is there a benefit in saying, you know what, today isn't working for me, I'm going to go and do something else today, but tomorrow I'm going to do this better? Absolutely
there is. And I have had days like that. And
because sometimes it's like when you're trying to sleep, isn't it? And you're lying in bed and you're thinking, I'm just going to lie here and I'm going to get to sleep and it's going to be fine. And then you don't get to sleep because you're lying there thinking about going to sleep.
Yes.
And the better bet would be to get up, read a book, go and mow the lawn or I don't know, go and do something other than try and sleep.
Yeah, do something that is your form of meditation. So, yeah, for me it might be wandering around, one of the local parks or something like that. But you have to give yourself permission to do it, because otherwise, if you go off and do something else, you'll be spending the whole time beating yourself up for not doing.
Feeling like you should be doing the thing you were doing.
So you have to be able to recognise it and say, I am not abandoning ship. I am giving myself some headspace, because you will, again, if you've got the swirling vortex of thoughts in your head, you will probably fix it when you're out not thinking about it. Your subconscious will work about it. Will work on it when you're not thinking about it, and you'll come back and you'll be like, I know what I need to do now. Happens all the time. The more you try and force it, I think the more difficult it becomes, and the more upsetting, and the more you hate yourself, and it's just, that's not productive. So yeah, don't abandon your book, don't abandon your project, whatever it is. It's incredibly tempting to do so, and here is how I know that. So about 1.5 years ago, I started writing a book with a friend of mine, and I've written 1 chapter of it, and that is as far as I have got. And I was really interested in this because it's like, well, I've written a book. Why am I finding this so difficult? And so I thought, wow, maybe I need to just take myself out of this, environment. So I took myself off to Turkey for a week on my own to write another book. I'd had a great idea. I thought it'd make people laugh. I still think it'll make people laugh. I'm going to write that book at some point. I haven't written it yet. I wrote for hours and days, and I wrote, I thought I'd done loads, and I looked at it when I was writing my current book, and I had written the grand total of 2,809 words, which is barely a fucking article. I wrote those words and then I basically went to the beach, and I don't even know what happened. Because I feel like I spent quite a lot of time writing.
But not many words came out. No,
not many words came out at all. I think I wrote like the, and then went somewhere and then came back and wrote, whatever else. It was bad. It was very bad. I just don't know what happened to that book. And then when I came home a few months later, I thought, I'll write another book. And I managed 53,802 words, so that's not bad. But I still haven't picked it up again since. This book is almost finished, and this time it was different. And I think there's a couple of reasons. The first reason is that I had a big idea, and I knew exactly how this book would fit into my bigger picture and how it slots into my business, and I knew who I was writing it for and why.
Okay.
And all of those things are super important. And it doesn't matter whether you're writing a book or making a product or building a business. It doesn't matter what, but all of those elements you need to have in place if you're going to stick with it.
Yeah, you need to know why. You need to know who.
Because if you're just doing it for the sake of it, which I think I was with a couple of my other books, it's like, I need to write another book. There's not a good enough reason to write a book.
Yeah, sure.
And so that was super important. I made a plan, I set my goals, and I have stuck to them mostly. I've shifted goalposts and things because I want it to be a great book. But, you know, by the time we get back from our holiday, it's going to be going to print. So that's cool.
That is sweet.
And I did all of the things that you will read about in the book if you buy the book, which you absolutely should because I'm really proud of it. And I decided not to do it on my own. I think that was really important. I went to Lanzarote with 3 other people, and we were all there for one purpose, to write a book, and we supported each other, and you kind of couldn't just go to the beach because you felt like a bit of a dick. So
Leaving other people there writing their books and you were off to the beach.
Yes.
Doesn't work.
Not so good. So I did not go it alone. You can't do anything alone, I don't think. You know, you can't, no books are written alone.
I think it's difficult to sustain on your own, isn't it?
Yeah. A business, you know, there's no such thing as a successful solopreneur. There really isn't. It's like it might be yours, it might be your idea, it might be your baby, but you're not the only one who makes it happen. You're not the only one who makes your book happen. You know, even if I hadn't had those other people, even if I hadn't had my beta readers, I've got you who brings me food, and you know, you're like, okay, it's time to stop now. You need to eat some food, and you know, how's it going? And you would read my first draft and all the rest of it. So it doesn't happen alone. You don't have to do it alone. If you're thinking of writing a book, don't think that you're going to do the whole thing on your own because you can't.
It will be super difficult.
It'll be super difficult and it won't be as good. My book is so much better for having beta readers and for having you help me and for just generally not trying to do it on my own.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you've ate whilst writing the book is a good thing. You know,
The fact that I've ate.
the fact that you have eaten things, which I don't think you would if you were left to your own devices. I think
Well, I would, but it would be like an entire jar of lemon curd with a spoon, which is what happened for lunch.
I did notice that the lemon curd had disappeared out of the fridge. You had that for lunch the other day, right?
I had that for lunch. I'm not even ashamed.
Just straight from the jar, yeah? Not even spread on anything.
No. Spooned it into my face. It was great. I loved it. And then I had a tortilla bread.
You're despicable.
I'm not. I'm marvellous. So yeah, buy my book, guys.
Buy my book.
Well, it's a really good book, isn't it?
It is a good book. It's a really good book.
Thank you. I'm really proud of it. Yeah, if you're going to write a book, buy my book. It's going to be, I know that I haven't got a landing page for you yet, and you're like, how do I buy my book? Just patience.
It will come.
It will come. There will be a landing page, and if you think that you really need a little bit more help, then I do coaching. I'm an author coach.
Nice.
I will kick your butt and hold your hand and tell you everything's going to be fine, and I will help you make it better, and I will help you write your book. If you would like me to coach you to write your book, you can drop me an email, vicky@vickyfraser.com, and we'll see if we're a good fit and what you would like to do. And if it helps sway you at all, I'm helping Drayton Bird write his autobiography, which, you know, that's pretty fucking cool. Yeah. Really pleased with that. It's going to be such a good autobiography. Oh, yeah, buy Drayton Bird's autobiography. It's going to be amazing. And, you know, nothing to do with me at all. Just Drayton's life is just incredible. And I think if you go to...
If you don't know who Drayton Bird is, you really need to check him out.
If you're in marketing and you don't know who Drayton Bird is, then you're in trouble. Hang on a second. Joe, say something.
He's just a top old guy, isn't he? He's done all kinds of things.
Geezer. Yeah, he is. He's amazing. Oh,
what are you doing?
Hang
Vicky?
on.
What are you doing?
Right, here we go. So if you go to youdidwhat.co.uk, youdidwhat.co.uk.
No question mark.
No question mark, just youdidwhat.co.uk. You will get to Drayton Bird's book landing page, and you can, it's just, okay, so ever wondered what would happen to your life if you just said screw the rules? 82 years of misadventure, mayhem, and millions. How to make buckets of dosh, screw things up, lose the lot, shake with fear, talk your way out of it, live under a false name, behave appallingly, fall in and out of love, often with the wrong people, feel joy, shame, terror, misery, disbelief, skirt death a few times, have an endless stream of dreadful hangovers, and still be at it when I should be tucked up in bed with a nice warm drink. If the idea of that little lot interests you, here are a few snippets from my story. I mean, even just that makes me want to know more. I strongly recommend you go to youdidwhat.co.uk, read his amazing snippets from his autobiography, and sign up for regular updates. And you will be the first to know when his book comes out.
Yep.
And then you can buy a copy.
Excellent.
In fact, buy 2 copies. Give
Or
one
more.
to your friends, or more. So that's my plug for the day. I think by the time this goes out, I'm hoping that we will have finalised Breaking Bread. At time of recording, there are 2 spaces left. We sold another one the other day.
Cool.
Breaking Bread Portugal, end of July.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, Joe and Berto are going to be our pit crew. They're going to be in tiny shorts. They're going to be serving us watermelon and drinks while we do business things.
In my short shorts.
In your short shorts and your pit crew t-shirt.
Yep.
There's going to be music and laughter and port and grappa tasting, I believe, because one of the guys coming is a grappa expert.
Excellent. That sounds painful, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's going to be banjo music because Berto makes banjos.
Is he bringing a banjo?
I don't know.
Berto, bring a banjo.
Yeah. And it's going to be fab.
Yeah.
And you and I will be back same time next week talking about, who the hell knows what.
Something else.
About something. We're going to be talking about something.
It'll be good, though.
It will be good. It's always good. So thanks for listening. Joe, thanks for helping.
No problem at all.
And yeah, if you can't be good, don't get caught.
Bye.
Bye.
Like what you've just heard? Tell your colleagues, tell your friends, send them to www.businessforsuperheroes.com/podcast.